you've got to be so proud of what you achieved as a co-host on The Real.
Thank you.
And to see that chapter of your life close recently.
Yeah.
How's everything going?
Oh my gosh, I honestly feel like with The Real ending, it was such a celebration. I mean, the things that we accomplished on the show. I started auditioning for The Real when I was 28, turning 29. Mm-hmm. We launched when I was 29, and I will be 39 in 3 months.
So a full decade.
So that's a decade of my life giving my opinion. I low-key was like, people just want me to shut up at this point, so I was ready for it. Not only that, but we're just so proud of what the show accomplished. Just being able to be the first Latina in daytime talk on English language television was like mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget when they came out and they're like, this is the press release that's going out today with the launch of the show, that you are the first Latina to ever. And I remember panicking and being like, I don't think that's right. Like,
fact check.
Please fact check. Like, guys, please don't make me look stupid. I don't want to be out here tooting my own horn, toot, and they're like, oh girl, you tried it. You are not the first. Stop claiming something that's not true. So I think now with the show coming to an end, Jeannie and I were just talking about the fact that like we can't let the concept of the show die. Does that make sense? We're super excited for the next. Like, who's gonna be the next to do it? Who are gonna be the next faces of daytime television that are representing for women in color?
So were you ready to say goodbye?
I was. So I for sure was. I had just bought my house in New York, and it's kind of crazy because we didn't know if The Real was coming back after our virtual season. I literally did a whole season from my mom's basement in New York. Mm-hmm. And after that, I was like, things changed. I think I changed in that time. I was like, I've missed spending time with my family in New York. I feel like I've missed out on my nieces growing up and little things, and I missed that, and I wanted that. So I went and I bought a house. I ended up selling my house here, and I even shipped my cars across the country. And in that moment, as the cars were coming up the driveway, I got the phone call from Telepictures, and they were like, we're back in studio. And I was like, ah.
I do want to ask you though, because you know how showbiz works.
Yeah.
Nothing ever really dies. Everything has an opportunity to be revived, to live on a different network.
For sure.
Would you want to return to The Real if it was to be revived by somewhere else?
It would have to be revived in a way that still allows me to have a life in New York. We've talked about family planning and my dreams of becoming a mother. I think that it would have to work in those parameters for sure. Yeah.
What would The Real 2.0 in a perfect world look like for you?
It would not be with me. Yeah,
really?
I would love to see new faces. The new format would not be with me, and I say that with love. But I think there even came a point where the show that The Real started as and how it evolved changed in so many ways. On our farewell episode, we got to do Fake It or Take It, which was always my favorite, and Jeannie leads that, and we get to run and be crazy and act wild. And I looked back at one of our producers and I was like, this is the show I was hired for. I was like, this energy is the show that I was hired to be silly, to be fun, to be goofy, to share our own crazy personal stories, embarrassing moments, to just kind of be an open book. And that's really who I've been for the last 10 years. But the reality is that our world shifted at some point, and I think it was necessary for us to talk about injustice and to have political opinions and that sort of thing. But that definitely changed the show. And even where we leaned a little bit more on Girl Chat, where it was more pop culture, as much as like, yes, pop culture matters, it's not what I'm a huge fan of. Like, I would rather sit and talk every day about myself. I don't necessarily love talking about other people. And I think that got difficult. Towards the end, it got really difficult where I'd go home and I'd be like, did I say the wrong thing? Did I say the right thing? Or even more than that, it's like, did I have the right to speak on this? You become a really whack co-host when you look around and you go, guys, I don't know. I think when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I have a right to. And then I got older and I was like, oh, bitch, you don't know anything. I'm like, you don't have the right to speak on certain things.
Well, I think we could solve that problem easily if there was to be an Adrienne talk show. Is that something that you've explored?
Love that.
You would love that?
I would love that.
So you'd want to go back to daytime?
I absolutely love daytime. I'm a huge fan of daytime TV. But I'm more of a fan of like old school 90s like daytime
families
talk
coming
shows.
back together, finding
When
a long lost.
This is the kind. I was Richard Bay. Hit me with the oink, oink, oink. I loved Sally Jesse Raphael was hands down my favorite. Bringing the children that are disrespectful to their parents so that I could let them have it. I loved those shows. I loved Ricky Lake. I think that there was something really special about that time. So if I could come back and recreate that sort of show, sign me up.
When you and I spoke in 2020, Amanda had just joined the cast of The Real.
Yeah. I've actually known Amanda the longest.
Out of anybody else?
Out of anyone on the panel. I've always loved who she is. I've loved how opinionated she is. And that's what we love on the show is having women that have strong opinions and bring a different perspective.
You had her
It's
back.
my girl.
And you proved yet again that you are such a girl's girl and that you had her back. I watched the Instagram live that you, Amanda, and Jeannie did.
Yeah.
Kind of seemed like you guys got to a place of healing after fans were really upset that Amanda was left out of the farewell episode.
We were like, up, this is wrong. I said, call Amanda right now. Like, let's FaceTime her right now. Like, let's have the conversation with her. And that's where it begins. Like, you can't let somebody feel whack and not reach out.
Tell me why that was important to you.
It was important to us to reach out to Amanda in the moment that we found out. We're like, whoa, hold on a second. Like, she wasn't in it. And it's crazy because we were there and we actually watched pieces of it on the farewell show. But me and Jeannie calls me. She's like, were we just crying through that whole thing that we didn't notice that?
So emotional.
And wrong is wrong and right is right. And I think that as you get older, you're just like, just do the right thing. Doing the right thing is actually a lot easier than not. And in the moment, we're like, yo, we just want you to know that that is not okay and that you absolutely should have been a part of that. And that we love you and that we're here for you and that I think it's really whack when somebody walks through something like that alone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, the thing that I took away from watching it was that you and Jeannie were like friends first. Just as human beings, it's the right thing to do.
100%.
Do you think Amanda got closure after that moment?
Yeah, and I think the crazy thing is people also don't really understand the behind the scenes of all that goes into making a television show, and that people do have real friendships outside of these shows, and that it's important to maintain those, and that is way more important than anything that you see on TV.
100%. Did you care to ask what happened, guys? Why did we do this? Did you get answers?
For sure. Yeah. Okay. We did all of that.
You did all of that. Okay. And ultimately, the thing that felt right was to go and
just call her
console
and just be like, listen, it was wrong.
Yeah. Okay. And then as far as your former co-hosts like Tamera and Tamar, were there ever conversations about bringing the whole squad back together?
If I'm being honest, I feel like the whole week of the farewell season was just like a blur. But at the same time, I do know that there were all these parameters of like COVID safety and like there was just a lot going on. Jeannie had COVID the last week of filming. We didn't even know if she would be in studio. So to add like a bunch of, we were trying to keep it simple, give you guys a great hurrah, this was the show for the last 10 years, 9 years, eight seasons, and just enjoy that.
Is there still a group chat? I know that I see you guys in each other's comments on Instagram,
Yes.
but is there an OG's group chat?
There is not an OG's group chat, I don't think, or not. I mean, there was one. I don't know if it's still being used. On our farewell episode, Warner Brothers actually brought us over to the lot where they have like this a marquee, and they actually lit up on the marquee, and it was like Warner Brothers wants to thank The Real for 8 seasons, like this whole thing. And in that moment, I got super emotional because I was like, can somebody please get Tam on the phone? Because for me, it was like, Tam should be here for, like, you know, like, it was just like, I'm like, she was such a huge part of so many of those years. And so sure enough, Jeannie and I got her on the phone and we all were just like crying. And it's funny because we actually shot the last season on a different stage.
Oh yeah, then you started.
Yeah. And I told Jeannie, I said, I'm actually really, really grateful that when we said goodbye to stage 10, we didn't know we were saying goodbye. So guess what me and Jeannie did? We snuck back onto stage 10.
Of course you did.
Can't make this up.
Have your last piece, your last moment.
Oh no, we walked through. They were filming a whole other show. I think it's Night Court or something.
Okay.
Is now on stage 10, and we were so mad. I don't know who's on Night Court, but we walked up to our dressing rooms and they had other people's names. I said, who is this? This is wrong. This is my room. You know, it was all Parisian themed with a chandelier, and I had a fireplace. It was all different, and we walked through, and Jeannie and I cried. But then we walked outside of the door, and they have the plaque there that says from this year to this year, the reel is on, and it'll never go away, in like this beautiful bronze plaque that stays by the, and we're on there.
Her name in cement, as it
Yes,
should be,
yes.
yes.